happen. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to make clear for the audience that if you do put your complete title on Wattpad, that does not preclude it from being picked up and published by a traditional publisher, if that's what happens.
Yeah, I don't, and I'm not going to speak to whether that's completely accurate. Technically, Wattpad is the work is published. Now, this is something I don't understand because and maybe you can shed some light on this for me. So if the work is there, now if like a industry person saw it there and was interested, they could certainly approach me about it.
Sure.
But I don't know if I can be actively querying it while it's essentially contracted on Wattpad.
I don't know. I don't know the
Yeah.
answer to that. I'm going to look that up though. But I would think, and that I was going to bring that up, the publishing timeline, as everyone who listens knows from me writing it 1,000 times, differs based on, how you decide you want your book to be published. So if you're self-published, I always recommend a good year at least in terms of a publishing timeline from the time the book is written to the time that it launches so that
Mhm.
you can do all those fabulous book marketing things. But a lot of self-publishers have other goals, and so they want the publishing timeline to be shorter. They don't need to take advantage of some of those things that we talked about. So for this, I would think that you would be able to market it or to pitch it now, query it now. Because again, we're talking a whole year,
Right. Well, I do think
if
about
not more.
the timeline of how long even just agent responses can be.
Yes.
You can be waiting 2 or 3 months
Yes.
or whatever. So
Right.
I guess my thinking, and I'll look into this too. And if I have to reach out to somebody at Wattpad to like clarify or whatever,
Right.
or just some of the industry people that, are accessible on Substack even, can I start putting out query letters, say like next summer, which would give me like still 4 or 5 months
Sure.
on Wattpad.
Right.
But then there's the possibility, because Wattpad actually has a publishing house as part of its
Oh, you
stuff,
don't
for lack of
say.
a better,
You
yeah,
don't say.
they do. In fact, and this isn't to downplay my win, but there were some special categories in the 10 of which I did not receive any of the special awards, but like one of them was a traditional publishing contract.
Yeah.
Like that was one of
Yeah.
the
That
prizes
thing
that
that
someone
answers the question right there. Yeah.
right. But it was through the Wattpad's publisher. So it wasn't an outside, like a big five or anything like that. But yeah, so there's
Interesting.
opportunities within Wattpad. And I
Yep.
think a lot of that will depend on how my book performs. Obviously, if something's doing really well, they're going to pay more attention than if it's
Right.
just kind of
Right. And for a traditional publisher to pick up the book, they're going to be able they're going to want that the Watty Award on your book page, on your
Mhm.
back cover, on your front cover maybe. I mean, they're going to want to be able to use that as their marketing.
Right.
So they're in line with, the requirements of that contract for you as well. But again, you're talking about a timeline of a year and they want you to keep it on there for a year. To me, you're within that time frame to pitch it for traditional publishing if that's what you want to do.
Right. All good things
Cool.
to think about. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So cool.
awesome. So exciting. So did you get a I was looking for the award. We're on video. The audience obviously can't see us, but where is it? Is it a chalice? Is it a
It's
is it a
literally
crown? What is it?
no, it's a sticker that you get to put on your fake book cover. No, it's essentially just a badge and bragging rights.
That's awesome. That
Yeah.
is so great.
But
Yeah.
I have to tell you, this is funny. So I sent you the picture of me with your book, which is on my bookshelf now, by the way, behind me, in my new office that I got to talk to you from today. Um,
Fabulous.
my upstairs office. So after I took that picture, I was like, oh, this isn't a horrible picture of me. I, of course, had to Photoshop my C. Dot Smile cover onto your cover so that it looks like I'm holding a physical book. So I'll share that with you in case you want to stick it in your
It is a
post.
beautiful picture. I know. I
Yeah.
can't wait to use
So,
it. Thank you for doing that.
oh, of course.
That's so funny. See, win-win. There's like wins all
Yes.
around here.
Exactly.
So tell the audience about your stock fiction Substack account. That's stockfiction.substack.com, because the writing that you do there is pretty unique.
Yes, and very different from my YA writing, which is another reason why I kind of brought it to a different platform because I never really felt like there are certainly people in my audience who appreciate it, and I write a lot more YA on Substack than people notice. Because a lot of times my protagonists are young or they're dealing with teenagery stuff.
Is that a
But
word? Is that a word? Johnny, can you check on teenager?
yeah,
I like
teenagery.
that.
Oh, it absolutely is. Teenager takes all
Teenager.
forms.
I love it.
But yeah, my Substack stuff is definitely darker. Sometimes it's just more, I use the word experimental because I'm trying to just try different things over there. So sometimes you're gonna get, something kind of like twisted and sarcastic and angry, or sometimes you're gonna get something sort of fantastical and, you know.
But for those who haven't read it, like what's the premise?
Oh, sure. So essentially the tagline is experimental fiction inspired by stock photography. So I use stock photographs of all kinds, although I do tend to lean towards more sort of artsy ones just because they tug at my storytelling muscles more. And then I essentially create a story around the photo.
That's amazing. It's such
Yeah.
a unique idea. Yeah, and
Of
it's
course, now
not.
that I've been at it for a year now, and I definitely like, rebel against my own my own model all the time. But actually for the next year, because I'm, coming up on 2024, and it's customary to write some kind of like, and here I am at the end of the calendar year, and what
Right.
am I going to do with myself? And I really do partly want to get back to the basics of that and get back to more, working with the photographs and letting them sort of guide me in my storytelling. Because what happens when you start to get more people reading you is this thing in your head goes like, okay, what do these people want to read? And you start, creating for specific people or a specific group of people instead of just like making
Doing your
stuff.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to get back to just making the stuff and having it be whatever the heck I want it to be. Because that was what
Yeah.
was fun about not having an audience. It's you can kind of just like goof off and like, but I think people like when I do that. So that's the plan for next year, is to kind of get back to basics, as it were. So
And
yeah.
that was a question I had for you about the stock fiction, and you alluded to it there a little bit. Is it something that you find is a good training, exercise, practice for your other writing?
Absolutely. I definitely think people say a lot when they come on to Substack that they're trying to like find their voice. And I think I've always had my voice, but in terms of feeling confident that what I'm writing is in that voice, like I'm not sure I was ever there. But I definitely have a style that I can recognize now and that people can recognize. Just certain things that I do in my writing that I didn't really think about before, but I was like, wow, I really do that a lot. Like people bring up, like, I do a lot of stuff with sentence length, where I play with like longer sentences and then really short ones. And like I do that because for me, when I read things back, I want it to have like a rhythm,
Mm-hmm.
and I want it to sound like someone's telling you a story rather than printing words on the page. So like, I think it's just part of what I do naturally, but I'm really starting to like have fun with it now. And I like that people pick up on it, because I'm like, yeah, I am doing that. That's really cool that you picked up on that. So I'm definitely trying different things. I started this thing, which I hope will be a recurring element. I called it an open mic, where I wrote this piece of like freestyle poetry, and it got a really good response. And so I wrote a second one. And so like, those are kind of like when I've just got stuff like bouncing around in my head and I can't really like put it down into like a traditional story arc, that I can just kind of like riff.
Yeah.
They've gotten a good response. So like I might keep up with that. I'm writing this bizarre novel behind my paywall right now, which is called Homeraker, which, if you remember, I wrote a very snarky piece of satire about bestsellers a while back. The name of the post is 2 Days to Win the Stupid, which was the title of the YA spoof. So what it was I was just, what's the word I'm looking for? Ranting
Yeah.
the tick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just, getting TO'd about like, I'm like, what is this stuff that's getting published out here? It's like, this is it's like soap opera stuff, but I get it. That's what people want to eat and consume. So I totally understand why they're bestsellers. But at the same time, I'm writing these like sweethearted YA novels that are getting until now, we're getting no love.
Right. Right.
But so I made like 5 different novel pitches. I made covers for each of them, and they're just ridiculous premises. But at the same time, when you're reading them, you're like, I can see how this would be on a bookshelf, because this is like, and so what I did was I had my readers vote on their favorite, and I said I would deliver a first chapter, like an agent grabbing first chapter of this fake book that I invented. And so the one that won was a book called Homewrecker, which was about this sort of elitist town and this trophy wife who like falls in love with her like landscaper, and then he gets horribly murdered, and then like she ends up like going into cahoots with this medium woman who's gonna like raise him from the dead so she can like get back in the sack with him. So like, yeah, so it's totally ridiculous. And so I delivered the first chapter, and I actually made it free for a while, but now it's going to be behind my paywall, because it's definitely more twisted than my usual stuff, and it's not everybody's cup of tea. But I should just invite you back there, Claudine, so you can read it, because
Yes.
I think you would enjoy it. So, but now I've got 2 chapters up there, and people are, I might have like 5 people back there that are like, yeah, like keep writing this. So I don't know what it's going to be other than just a massive experiment. And, can I tell a murder mystery? Because that's not something I've ever tried to do. Can I write these hideous, ugly caricatures of humans and want to follow them in a story? Because that's always been my thing too. It's like, I'm always rooting for all my characters because I love them and they're deep down wonderful people, but these people are not that. They're very cartoony and, awful. So like there's just a lot of experimentation going on with that, and who knows where it's going to go, or even if it will become like a whole book. My hope is that like it'll wrap up around like novella length, because that's another thing I haven't done, is write a novella length piece. I'm doing the short fiction thing, and I've written the long form novel thing, but I've never really hit that spot in the middle. So there's a lot of different things that I'm hoping that project will allow me to do. Yeah, so lots of interesting stuff going on over there.
And these are all things that you're posting on Stock Fiction at
Yes.
Substack. So that's stockfiction.substack.com. So just for the listeners, it's not just the one genre that Meg is writing in. She's writing in all these different, and sometimes she'll write a nonfiction piece if with something on her mind or news about what's going on. So you have all these other ways. And I think your Substack is one of the more creative ones, I think, especially, I mean, that's just such a creative idea. Take a stock fiction picture and create a story around it. I mean, it sounds like something that would be in a writing university class.
Right. Well, it is something that I did in a class, part of our, I was saying morning exercises, but the class was at night. But like the first thing we did was we would do a writing prompt, and sometimes it involved a picture, and that's kind of where I got the idea. Because I'm not opposed to traditional writing prompts, but I've never really gotten into them, just the ones where it gives you, some basic details and you kind of write a story around it. But what's nice about photography is like, I don't know, there's so much room for interpretation.
Yes.
And I like especially to take them in like weird directions that, like Caked, for instance, like,
Yes.
just a charming photo of a woman like decorating a cupcake, but read the story and you'll be like, what on earth is going on in this woman's head?
I wonder that all the time, Meg.
Yes.
With the stuff that comes out of your, but this particular book, the new one, it reminded me of, did you ever see Private Parts? It's the story of
Oh, Howard Stern?
Howard Stern.
Yes, I have. I love when I can actually nod my head to something that someone suggests.
Yeah, because I'm really old.
Yes. I think I watched it on an airplane, actually.
There you go. There you go. But I mean, everyone kind of knows Howard Stern's a nut, but the movie was actually pretty sweet. And it's his life, and he is talking to his wife about how he feels like he's really not putting himself out there in the end, before his radio career really took off. And she's like, you're not being completely yourself now. And he's like, no, I'm holding back. And she's like, okay, well then don't hold back. And it sounds like in this novel, that's what you're doing. You're not holding back. You're like coming up with something that you think is completely ridiculous. But I mean, I got to tell you, I want to read it.
Right. Yeah.
Based on your description, I really want to read it. Yeah.
I'll tune you in. I'll give you
Please.
a VIP ticket.
Yay. Okay. Not that it's
But
not
everyone
worth
else
the
listening has to pay for
subscription. That's right. You
it.
subscribe for sure. Thank you so much for being with us, Meg. Congratulations on your Watty Award. And we're so excited that you were able to share the win with us because we all need that encouragement. And it does occur to me, you were just about to take it down. I mean, what does that tell us?
I know. Well, and this is the one thing I'll say too, is I actually have done a couple little interviews over there. So there's a lot of people on the platform. That's part of what they do, is they like to like interview authors and stuff like that. And there was this one question about, what advice would you give to anyone, considering entering the contest? And my answer was like, don't hesitate to enter it, because there's like no harm in entering.
Right.
I mean, maybe you won't win, but then what? Maybe you will. Like, I didn't think I was going to, so you just never know.
Yeah.
And so I say, just why the hell not?
Yeah. And it's those kinds of things I think that keep us on the straight and narrow as an author, keep us writing, keep us going, keep doing. For anyone, any musician. I remember with the movie about Queen. I forget what the name of the movie was.
What was it called?
Um,
It's okay. We'll think of it.
Bohemian Rhapsody, right?
Yes, there you go.
Okay. So they're at the end of their rope. They have like $300 left and they end up selling their van because they believe in this song, and then everything takes off. It just seems like it's when you're, just about to decide I'm done with this that it takes off. So hang in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Meg's our example. Congratulations again. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We're so excited for you.
Yay.
Awesome. Okay. I will
Thanks.
put your information in the show notes, and I can't wait to hear your next success. Thank you for being with us, Meg.
Thank you for having me.
And you are listening to Get Your Book Seen and Sold. Book Seen and Sold. That was awesome. Thank
Yay.
you.
So fun and high energy. Love it.
Really? Am I higher energy?
Well, it was a fun thing to talk about.
It
So
really is. And
yeah.
then you're so good, to having fun with it. But I do think there's something to that. I really do. I think there's something to you just being like, okay, I'm done. And then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
I had a similar moment with my first book. I had back in the day, it wasn't so much a publisher. I was self-publishing.
Mhm.
But if the distributor did not accept my manuscript,
Right. You were going to be done.
I was done.
Yeah.
And I got the email and I was like, oh my God.
Like vomiting joy. You're like,
I was exactly.
yes, that was going to be the end.
And that's
Well,
why
honestly,
I
because
the question, because I'm
and
like,
I
how
was
did
at
you
the point,
feel?
I was at the point too where, because I've talked to you about this before, like the book is too long. I mean,
Is
it will, yeah. Oh, but not when you read it, just when you're an agent looking at what am I going to be able to sell. And I know that like there's a possibility of breaking through on that, but like I know if I had taken it down, I would have felt the need to trim like 20 or 30,000 words off it again. And I was so miserable doing that I'm like, maybe I'll take it down and then I'll self-publish it. I don't know, because I don't want any of it to go away. Like that's
Oh,
it. So yeah,
yeah.
no one who's read it has said, geez, that was really long. It was like a snooze fest. I mean, it moves. And
Yes.
what I didn't want to give up was like the secondary character journeys, because they're important in my mind to Dot's journey. Like the whole point is that she's seeing all these different love stories that are different than what she thinks love stories are supposed to look like, including her own, but she doesn't really get there until the end. You know what I mean? So like, but she has to see it all. And if
Right.
we don't see it, then she doesn't see it,
And that's life. You don't live in a bubble and you're so
Right.
affected by all the relationships around you,
Oh yeah,
especially in high school.
for
I
sure.
agree. Yeah. So tell me the title of the book that you're writing.
Oh, it's called Home Raker. So Homeraker. And Raker is the last name of the landscaper. So I'll send you a link to both the bestsellers pitch, which is, I have to say, one of my proudest moments. Like I really enjoyed writing that.
Oh,
And
I
got a
can't
lot of
wait.
feedback.
Oh,
And then I'll comp you for so you can get behind the paywall. There's
you
two
don't have to come.
chapters.
I'll get it. I'll buy it. Don't do
Oh,
that. I want to support you. Yes.
you're the sweetest.
But yeah, that is hilarious. Oh my gosh. And isn't it funny what comes out of like fury? The
Yes.
creativity that is born out of fury. Homeraker, that is
Yeah.
hilarious.
And it's, yeah, I'm weirdly having fun writing it. So, but
I-
what's weird is like I'm totally flying by the seat of my pants. I'm like, I kind of have a vague idea. I know where it's going to end, so that's good. I know where it's heading.
Wow.
It's like filling in you know, it's a murder mystery. I'm like, okay, that involves dropping clues and red herrings and all that juicy stuff. So
Right, but
it'll
I
be
mean,
fun.
stranger things have been created in just that way, like,
Right.
that the Outlander author?
Yep.
Yeah, she just started writing that. She never thought anybody was gonna look at that for
Right.
a book, ever.
Mhm.
That's just how it goes. So maybe that's what it takes. Maybe it's that comfortableness of not having eyes on it at first, or you're just doing it for fun that
Right.
yeah, too
Yeah.
funny. All right, well, I will get this to you, and
Yay.
we'll put it up, and thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll
All
talk soon
right,
and happy
happy
holidays
holidays.
if I don't catch you before. All right.
And you, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.